Much in the same way that video killed the radio star, digital cameras killed the Polaroid. It's true. But because of millennials, what's wrong with us anyway? These are starting to come back. And I'm not entirely sure why. I guess I'm not a photographer or an artist or hipster enough to get it, but Polaroids are coming back, and this is one. Let's talk about it. So, for those of you who are younger, you did not experience a childhood filled with parties and anxious parents running around with Polaroids and VHS cameras to capture the moment and share it with their friends and other family members. Polaroid cameras allowed people to produce an image on site instantly. You would snap the shutter, and instantly a photo would pop out of the front, and within a few minutes it would be fully visible for all to see and enjoy. That was the magic of the Polaroid, and how it did it is actually a pretty cool process involving dangerous chemicals and possible carcinogens. Yeah, Polaroid. Polaroids were the camera of choice for those who needed photos instantly, and once the digital revolution began to take hold in the early 2000s, Polaroids became less and less popular. We didn't have camera phones back then. Hell, we didn't have cell phones for the most part back then. The only people who owned cell phones were salesmen and drug dealers. So we didn't have the instant gratification of being able to snap a photo and looking at it and saying, oh, wait, let's do that over again. Let's do it again. Snap a photo. Oh, no, let's do it again. No. Each click of the shutter cost real dollars and cents. That's why when you look at older family photos predating the digital era, they're not always perfect. They're not always on cue, and some photos are just plain bad. But they wound up in the family photo book because that's what we paid for. But this is true. You know, there was a major overlap between the Polaroid and the digital camera, because digital cameras were often used more for producing web content in the earlier days, or for publications that didn't really require high-quality graphics and images. Once the digital cameras came down in price, there was a time when you could not touch a digital camera for less than, say, $300. Now you can buy them for $15. No, seriously, you can. If you need one. But nevertheless, once digital cameras came down in price and the technology improved to the point where you could produce a 35 millimeter image level of image quality, that's when the Polaroids began to go under. And Polaroid did go bankrupt, and I don't recall exactly what year. But the technology was jump-started a few times and given the paddles a few times to get it back to life for a very select market of millennials and artists. Millennials. What is wrong with us? Why do we bring back dead things? As I look around my house, no, seriously, I've restored 90s Macintosh, I've got a 1930s radio, an 1840s clock. Why do we bring back dead things? Why? Because the present is just so bleak, both politically, economically, and socially. So we cling on to old things. That's true. I mean, that's what we do. That's what we do. We cling on to technologies of the past when things were perceivably good. We put on our rose-colored glasses and grab our Polaroid, and when we're done, we'll scan the image into our iMac G3 and then share it on the web. On Instagram, perhaps. Because why not? Hashtag retro. Hashtag millennial. Yeah, that's what we're going to go down in history as being the hashtag this generation. Anyway, I'm straying from the subject. Let's continue. Let's steam on. So I've got a 1994 Kodak DC. Again, what is with the old things in us millennials? I don't know what it is. This actually does work, and I am going to use this for my cousin's wedding. So let's talk about that for a second. I have a cousin who is also a hashtag millennial. She is the same age as me. We grew up together. We were very close when we were younger. She's getting married And she has decided that she wants... So let's backtrack a little bit. If you'll notice, one of the more common trends in social gatherings, if there's photography to remember the moment, there is this trend going on where people will take a cutout, a large piece of plywood or some kind of even cardboard that looks like a Polaroid picture, right? And the idea is you hold this Polaroid thing up around you and your friend, and you take a pic. Somebody else takes a picture of you, so it looks like you're in a Polaroid picture. Well, my cousin decided, you know, I want to take this whole thing to the next step. I want to skip that nonsense, that gimmicky crap that my friends and colleagues are using at their weddings and social gatherings, and I'm going to use a real Polaroid camera. So what does she do? She contacts the only person she knows who is obsessed with retro technology, and that would be yours truly. And I said, you know, I think I can make this happen. I might even have a Polaroid somewhere. It turns out I didn't. So I set out to find myself a Polaroid camera. Now, I am aware that a company called the Impossible Project, now Polaroid Originals, has started reproducing the original Polaroid film. Both the Spectra film and the traditional Polaroid 600 film. Most of you, when you think of a Polaroid picture, you're actually thinking of the Polaroid 600, which is more of a square image with the plastic frame around it, the white plastic frame around it. It's thicker on the bottom than it is on the other sides. But it's more of a square, almost like a 4:3 aspect ratio. So she contacts me, and I said, I'll find you a camera. And the film is going to be expensive, but we'll get the camera first. And that's exactly what I did. I found this camera for $10 in a local antique store. Now I feel old. I found this for $10. It actually came with the original carrying case, which is really sexy. Not really sexy. And here it is. Now, you're all thinking, okay, they make Polaroid film again. But what does it cost? Well, that's where things get dicey. Polaroid film is freaking expensive. I remember I thought Polaroid packets contained 10 images. Well, it turns out they now contain 8. And back then they cost maybe $12 a pack, maybe. I mean, it was expensive, but you didn't have to pay processing costs. You just buy the film and shoot it, and you're done. Well, it cost me nearly $30 for a pack of 8 photos. 8 freaking photos. It was like $22 and change. It wasn't 30. It was $22 and change. $22. And I think the shipping was free. But damn it, with my luck, they charged me for shipping. I just said, you know what, I'm going to pay it. I told my cousin that I would buy the camera and I'd buy a pack of film to test the camera to make sure it would work for her event. And then she was on the hook for buying the rest of it because I am not paying $100 for Polaroid film for one wedding. Not going to happen. I mean, you could literally hire a professional for that. Now, where did I put the pack? Oh, there it is. Let's open up this packet of film. What I need to do here is I need to test this camera. I need to make sure it actually works. And I'm going to waste a photo. Now, you figure that out. What's 8? What's 20? Yeah, $22 divided by 8. What is that? That would be $2.75. Now, here is the Polaroid Originals. Now, this is not an original packet. This is a reproduction. So this is important, guys. Polaroid cameras, there is no battery compartment anywhere in the camera. Nowhere on this camera. But it does, don't kid yourself, it does require power. All right? Power is supplied by the photo packet itself. There's a battery inside the cartridge. Now this leads me to my next point. What do you do with a spent cartridge? Well, the thing is, with a spent cartridge, you still have the battery in there. And it's not dead. The battery will last several shots beyond the original 8. So it's a good idea, if you happen to be getting into this hobby of Polaroids, to keep at least 1 or 2 spare cartridges on hand. And the reason for that is you can use the batteries in the cartridge to test a camera. I don't know if this camera works, and we're going to find out now. I could have spent $32 to find out this camera doesn't work. So if I had an empty cartridge of photos, I could have brought it with me and tested the camera at the shop before I paid $10 and bought a packet of film. But that's a little pro tip there. We got to start somewhere, right? So I'm going to open the foil pack. So these cartridges do expire, and it is a gamble. If you're buying expired film off eBay, which is the way people buy this stuff now, if you're going to buy a packet of film and it's more than 5 years old, there's a really good chance it's not going to work. And it's expensive. Very expensive. So here's the cartridge. This is a cardboard light shield to prevent the first image from exposing. Once the cartridge is loaded into the camera, this will eject. So we have to insert the film this side up, arrow forward. How do we do that? Well, there's a little lever here, and the bottom opens up. Look inside the camera. Now, again, the Polaroid Spectra is a very elaborate, as Polaroids go, it's one of the more expensive ones, one of the more elaborate ones. And that just loads in like that. Okay, the camera works. I don't know why that's happening, but it's got a little... Okay, so let's take a look at these switches here. Let's close the camera up for a second so I don't accidentally waste a $2.75 photo. No, seriously. Each press of this shutter costs $2.75. So we got a few options on the Spectra. We've got autofocus, flash on or off, light or dark. This is our exposure control. I'm going to leave it in the middle. And I think feet or meters, I think, is what that is. I'm not really sure. There's a remote option for this camera. You can actually add a remote clicker. And I believe it has a timer. So we're going to turn that off. I want autofocus on, autofocus off, timer on. This is our shutter alert beeper thing. And then a number of exposures. Now it says 10 exposures, but there's only 8 in the pack. So keep that in mind. All right. I think we're ready to take our first shot. Let's do that right now. What the hell. We'll use the mountains. So let's pop open. Okay. Flash is charging. You can hear it. Now it's charged. Let's see the viewfinder here. All right. Here we go. Our first photo. So this comes out of the camera, and it comes out initially white, and now it's ready for its next shot. So eventually this image will develop, but it takes a little while. It's going to take a long while. Probably a good 5 minutes or so. You can throw these away. So what I'm going to do at this wedding is I'm going to bring the Polaroid. I'm going to give it to my cousin. That'll be her wedding gift. And she can buy her own film. I have no intention of ever buying another packet of Polaroid film for as long as I live. It's too expensive, and I'm not nearly hipster enough to enjoy this. But you can see the photo is developing. This should work. This is a new cartridge. But let's take a look at the other side here. Look at that. This is what Polaroids look like, guys. For you young people under probably I'd say under 25. You may have never seen or used one of these in your life. I see mountains just starting to appear. All of my classroom teachers had Polaroid cameras in their class to take class pictures. Almost all of them did. So there are many Polaroids of me kicking around somewhere in the world, and yeah, that's just a one side effect of being my age group. Anyway, so yeah, it's starting to develop. It's really getting there. Now, I remember a lot of people would shake these things, and I don't think you're supposed to do that. I think you're just supposed to let it sit on the counter like that and develop on its own. Now, I want to point something out. What you just saw was the very first time I have ever used a Polaroid camera. Despite having these all over the place when I was a kid, I never used one. Never used one. This is the first time. I've never owned one, never used one. Yeah, it's coming. Now, someone did actually give me a Polaroid camera a few years ago. It was a new in-box Polaroid 600 compatible camera, which I immediately gave to my sister because I knew she wanted one. Didn't really know where she'd get film, but don't even know if she still has it either. But it's working. It's working. So, I see some streaks in there that I'm not sure belong in the image. But it's starting to come along. It's coming. It's coming. I see some detail now. I still see all those streaks, though. I kind of wonder if that's a problem, or if that's just the way it is. Huh. Well, this doesn't look good. This image is actually quite poor. There are streaks still in it from where the rollers hit it. Or where you can see where the developer flowed through, but the quality of the image is very poor. I'm going to take one more shot. Again, this cost me $2.75 to take. I need to emphasize that. So let's try one more. I think what I'm going to do is take a picture of this iMac that I'm working on here. Yeah, and how historically accurate would that be, right? So why don't we take an image, or take a photo of our little iMac project here. I've got all the options: autofocus, sound on, timer off, and yeah. Unfortunately, with the light and darken knob or switch, you have to burn through a photo to see how that affected the image. So let's just try taking one shot here of the iMac. Here we go. Now when I depress the button a little bit, it shows me the number of shots that have been taken. I see a 2. Oh, that's pretty cool. 2. Actually, what does that mean? Okay, this tells me there's not enough light. I think. 1. Oh, is that a light meter? I think it is. Yes. It's a little light meter in there. Let's see if we can see that. Probably not really. Yeah, it's not going to show up. But it has a light meter. There's a 3. If I aim it at the light directly, it... No, maybe not. I don't know what that means. Huh. It's pretty cool, though. No less. Or is that focal length? I don't know. Well, I'll have to read the instructions. Here we go. Alright. Photo number 2. We'll see how that comes out. But there's a red LED indicator, and it shows a 2-digit number. The lowest I saw was 1, and then it... I really should read the instructions and get a better understanding of how this camera works. Well, there we go. We'll see how that comes out, and probably give it about 10 minutes. Well, not really much better. This image has a lot of streaks in it, and yeah, that's not good. I have to have a very difficult conversation with my cousin. See if this is still the way she wants to go. Oh boy. Till then, guys.